Hey, Catalyst Women, Danielle Wingate here, and I'm back with Renee for week 4 of Freedom. Renee, thank you so much for joining us and just for being willing to unpack every single week just the different elements of freedom. And if you've missed the last 3 weeks, I'm going to give you a super quick recap, but you definitely want to go back through the YouTube channel and watch all previous 3 weeks. And so week 1, we talked about this concept of an original design. And so when God made each person, he saw us and knit us together so intentionally, a masterpiece in our mother's womb, and he actually gave us this beautiful original design. And so before there was sin, this design is our calling, our purpose, and all of these things that the Lord has given us as individuals that somewhere along the way kind of get buried with sin and all this other stuff that followed. Week 2, we talked about strongholds. And so things that are holding us back that we just can't seem to get past, to work past. And then week 3, we talked about generational patterns or generational curses. And basically those are the things that have existed in our lines of generations that maybe we're not even aware of, that we have been carrying around, operating under, or limited by, that again are holding us back from our calling, our purpose, our original design, and just breaking free from those last 2 things that we talked about. And there's way more. We're going to dive into all of that stuff at the retreat in Nashville, September 13th through the 15th. So if you have not bought your tickets yet, go ahead and do that. They're live, and it's going to be such an incredible weekend. We're so excited and expectant of what God's going to do. But today we thought it would be fun to dive into kind of a side-by-side or a mirror approach of what life looked like before freedom, and then after discovering true freedom, what life looked like after freedom. And so I told Renee, I said, we'll just keep it super light. We'll just talk about marriage, parenting, and friendships. Nothing real serious, right?
Yeah. That's everything.
Right, I know.
That's everything.
Yeah, just the core anchors. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, Renee, welcome again. I'm so glad you're here.
You.
Happy July.
Yeah, me too. Happy to be here.
Living your best life.
I
Okay,
am.
you are. I know you are. Yesterday was your birthday too. Happy belated
It was. Thank you. Thank you. I had so much love and fun and family and girlfriends, and it's hard. You got to recover from your birthday when you get older.
Well,
no, it was awesome. I'm
you look
blessed.
beautiful, and
Thanks.
I'm so thankful that you had such a great celebration.
Thank you.
All right, talk to us about, and feel free to start wherever you want to start, but life, like what's like a key thing or a key memory that sticks out to you about how life was different before you walked through freedom?
You know, the main thing I think of is just literally peace, like peace of who you are, the peace of, and faith actually goes with it, just as far as that you aren't what you feel like. You're not what, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're not feeling, you're feeling less than, you're feeling unworthy, you're feeling shameful. And so then you make decisions out of those places, and you don't have to do that. And so it's so freeing, and there's so much more joy. I think about, it's easy for me. We have our 30-year wedding anniversary this summer. So I can think of marriage a lot as far as like how it has affected my marriage, because I didn't walk through freedom until I had been married for I'd say about 15 years. Wow. And of course, like everybody, like we've talked about, you are born, and then things are coming against you, your own poor choices, other people's poor choices, and the enemy. Yeah. And so with that, I came into my marriage with a lot of hurt and brokenness, and loved my husband, but he had his too. And you always think, oh, I'll get married and then it'll be better. What you're really doing is putting 2 broken people together, right?
Right.
And I would say that Darren and I were never in a place of we're going to get a divorce and things are that bad like that. But we always knew we'd stay together, but I didn't really like who I was. So it wasn't easy to be what he needed, and what biblically what a wife is, to submit and support and love, and submit in a healthy way, not in a doorstep type of way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But so I came against my husband a lot. I had a feeling of like, I had walked with so much rejection that I know that you want to protect yourself from allowing him to reject me. So I kept him in a place where I'm the boss of you, you're not the boss of me, and I'm not going to give you a place to hurt me. And that's not a very great, fulfilling. We could still have fun together. We could still be married. And like I said, not be talking about a divorce, but just no fruit, not the fruit and the love that the Lord has wanted for our marriage, that design he had for our marriage, to be able to love and minister to others when you're a hot mess yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So control is a big one. I think that most people, obviously, we all have a chance to walk in some control, because fear and control go hand in hand. And I felt like Darren wasn't acting or doing what I thought he should be doing, then I wanted to control that and try to manipulate him to do what I thought he should. And then that just frustrates him, you know, and that was out of my insecurities, instead of just letting us, instead of freedom, that's the opposite of freedom. I was trying to control everything and make everything, you know, is your relationship with our sons what I think it should be? And then if it's not, then I would attack him and go, well, you should be doing this or this or this with the boys. And then it would just make him feel like less of a person, you know, and then he would be feeling insecure in who he was as a father. And then all I wanted him to do was be a better father, but yet I was destroying that in a weird way. Does that make sense? Like, you just don't even see these schemes. And then of course I had generational rebellion in a strong way. And so I had a lot of rebellion and don't tell me what to do. And, oh, you want me to do that? Well, why don't you do that? Instead of supporting and helping him while he's at work. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And he says, could you call the insurance company and ask him this? No, you do it. What? You know what I mean? It's really horrible to think about how I used to be. But then some freedom and some healing of me. And Lord, you know, not looking at Darren, not looking at the kids, not looking at anyone else but me. That's what freedom is, really. That's what we'll talk about at the retreat. It's just, Lord, look at me. Search my heart, oh Lord. And I want a pure heart before you. Yes. And then just dealing with those things that, why do I feel insecure? Why do I have rebellion? Why am I not walking in the freedom? I'm walking in control. Why are those things there? And then as I started to get myself healed, and not even worrying about Darren and his issues, just me, then everything started to shift and change. And then freedom came, and then we could be who we were made to be. And it took a long time, because we had ourselves in pretty tight mess, but it took years. But just as I started to look at me and say, Lord, me, what about me? And get me happy, then I could be more of a love and a support. And then anything he had to deal with, it kind of left him available to just him and the Lord talk about his issues instead of me and him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it really has changed my marriage. And I could see it in my friendships. I could see it in my parenting. I could see it in my family dynamics beyond that. Just every relationship, even, you know, work, just it's your core of what, if you're not satisfied.
Well, we talk about lens and perspective all the time, and it's almost as if getting freedom has cleaned off your lens, that you're now able to see people, engagements, opportunities, problems for the root and not the surface. So that way you're not just reactive to whatever, whether it is just a person's having a rough day or an actual scheme or tactic of the enemy to bring division and confusion to you. Like, you're able to be like, you know, that was, I think you meant that that felt like a hurtful jab. I don't think that you meant it that way. I'm going to choose to just forgive and let go.
Right. Because when you're hurt, everything coming, you know, when you're feeling insecure, anybody could say anything in the room and you would walk out of there and go,
oh, look at you, the wrong way.
Did this, they did that.
Yeah.
But when you get all that cleaned up and you get freedom and you get healing and you declare the truth and renounce the lies and just get yourself squared away a little better with the Lord and his truths, then you're more free to just have that joy and peace. And people can act like that. And you go, oh, you know, they didn't, she looked at me funny, but you know what? I know she's having a hard time in her life. I know that she's got a lot going on. So she's probably just feeling badly. I'm just going to love her because I know the truth. I didn't do anything to her to make her feel what I, you know, that way about me.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's more freeing. And the other thing that's so powerful, which I know we've talked about, is our original design. And knowing our original design, but even better to know my husband's original design is awesome. Because you know what, when I was nagging all the time and I was trying to, why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? And make him, try to make him feel like he should be doing this. And I did it with a heart of trying to, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. Then he thought, oh, I can't be enough for her. And so then he wasn't what he could be. But now he is walking in his ministry. He's a baseball coach at the high school, and it doesn't look anything like I probably thought it would, as far as like being in going to the men's breakfast and being a leader at the church in the men's ministry. That's not what he is. And that's not what God has for him. Yeah. He loves and encourages those young teenagers, and it looks like a baseball coach. You know what I mean? And I'm so proud of him. So proud of him. And it's so rewarding to see that when I could just worry about getting myself freed, that it freed him up and he's able to walk in that. And so to know who the people around you are supposed to be, or who were made, what they were made to be, I mean, from the Lord, is just amazing. Like my parenting, I have 2 boys, and our first son, Adam, he's 33 now. And then we have Brady, who's 21. And I didn't know freedom when we were raising Adam. And I didn't know Adam's original design. And so I would get frustrated and I would get angry and I would parent out of anger. And I'd be like, you should be this or that, you know, why aren't you acting right? You know? And then because you get fearful because your kid, you're like, oh my gosh, are they ever going to turn out? I am really messing this one up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You probably don't know what I mean.
Well, I'm 3 years in and I'm like, I have a struggle child and stronger willed. And I'm already like, Lord, but because I do have the original design, more times of gratitude that I catch myself that I'm like, we're going to need this. I just have to stay the course and guide. And
Right. Poor Adam, bless his heart. He's an amazing man, though. He came through all right. I didn't damage him too bad.
Oh yeah, beautiful wife.
Like, yes, a cute grandkids. He's awesome. But I really struggled while he was young, and I didn't understand freedom, and I didn't know, you try to make everything what you think things should look like. And then with Brady, I knew freedom, and I had got some freedom, and I knew his original design. And so when we knew, here's an example just popped in my mind. We knew that he was a worshiper and that God had made him musical for worship. Well, when that little boy said, I want a drum kit, we said, yep, you can have a drum kit. And it's really loud and it's in my garage and it's still there. But he's an amazing drummer. And we knew that. Does that make sense?
Wow.
You know? And so you can empower him to be who God made him to be instead of going, oh my gosh, that drum kit is going to be too loud and I don't want to hear that in my garage. Do you know what I mean?
Wow,
yes, you can have a drum kit. Do you know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. So different. Before and after is great. And don't be mistaken, it's not all rainbows and ponies all the time. I have opportunities to go, okay, I know, but what happens is you go, okay, this isn't, something feels wrong in my spirit. I'm acting or reacting how doesn't feel good in my spirit. And then you can stop and go, okay, Lord, what is coming against me? What lie am I believing? What's happening here? And then you will know, and you're like, Lord, forgive me for my fear. I shouldn't fear in this situation. That's not who I am. It's just reclaiming that truth. And you're like, whew, okay. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just kind of a lost fog of.
No, it's like you're no longer, I feel like, going through the forest. You're able to see, and you're like, this is not supposed to be here. That's not from the Lord. Move this out. And I feel like I just was writing about this actually the other day, but I feel like it's like you still are going to go through battles and trials in your life, period. The scripture promises, like, when you endure trials, like, take heart because I've overcome. But I feel like, sorry, I just realized I had this whole jump trampoline thing on earlier. but I kept thinking like you glide under the covering of the Lord through the darts of the enemy because you're like, I know what I'm going after because that isn't supposed to be here. Like this
Right.
is a stronghold or that was a generational curse. And I now see that. And if I don't deal with that, I'm not going to be able to move past this well. It's no longer
Right.
just like, oh my gosh, my day, or oh my gosh, this, like this dream keeps coming back to me and I don't know what to do with this. And I don't know what it could mean. Like, I just feel like there's a whole new sense of clarity and
Right.
direction. How to pursue
Peace. Right.
peace. Yes. Like,
Peace that passeth all understanding.
yes. Yeah.
Good.
Exactly.
Good. Makes life way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. You have me thinking about, obviously my kids are 3 and 2 almost. So they haven't asked.
You're going to do great.
Any.
Great.
I texted one of the ladies who's going to come to retreat as well, Tina. I've not met her daughters, but I've heard amazing things about them. And I texted her yesterday and I was like, I hear that you are one to talk to because I have a strong-willed child and a stronger-willed child. And, I need some prayer and help.
Yes.
Like, know their original design and pray often, every moment. Like, I was like, okay, got it.
Yep. She's my bestie because we did this together.
Yeah.
Probably 18, I think it was about 18, 19 years ago we did this together. And so it's good to have friends to do it with, like-minded girlfriends are so important because because if you go to somebody who's not a girlfriend and you're like, oh, my kids or this or that, they'll go, oh no, you better this or that. And it's not good advice all the time. But when you have a friend who understands freedom and has the same, you're equally yoked with your girlfriend realistically, and she can encourage you in faith. And
So
that's been an important part of my journey too, is that Tina, and just, this is a lie from the enemy, Renee, the truth, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. All right, let's pray. And then you have someone to pray with,
You do.
Girlfriends.
That's what I think is going to be one of the greatest. I mean, there's a lot that's going to be amazing at retreat, but really having that, like, women that you're walking through this with and a good small core number that you can then get to know people, know their stories a little bit, and then, just build relationships with them that they can then be like, oh, I was there and I prayed with you, or I prayed for you, or I got a word. It's just going to be so, so special.
Right. It is.
I think for me, like, a lot comes to mind for freedom with my marriage of like before freedom. I use this analogy sometimes of like a suitcase that I just felt like Chris and I brought things into our marriage, which everybody does. You bring your past and stories. And what I felt like freedom helped do for at least me was that I was able to unpack things finally out of my suitcase that I think I had just like been like, yep, that's my story from my suitcase. And sometimes I have to take that piece of, clothing out and wash it occasionally, and put it back in my suitcase, where I realized walking through freedom, this isn't supposed to be here at all. Like, that is supposed to be in the past. It's not something I bring into my marriage. It's something that we need to actually work through so it doesn't reoccur in my marriage. We don't have to have this conversation and this emotional roller coaster of what does this mean and what do I do with this? And then my husband's like, I don't know. Are you happy? Like, am I doing something? And it's like, I don't think it's anything of you. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just
my dirty laundry.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry. I really thought I have dealt with this. I don't know why it's like popping back up. Like, and, thankfully my husband loves the Lord and he loves me and he was patient, but I'm like, after a few times of like walking through that, I can only imagine. So just even for me, the peace of knowing when something does pop back up, and I'm like, no, we've dealt with that. We've prayed through that. It's broken off in Jesus's name. I don't walk through that title, that identity, or that belief anymore. Like, it's just not even a thing. It just amazes me how it's like, no, this is not. It's like, gone. This dies, and sometimes I'll go like a few minutes into like, oh, and then I'm like, no, wait, like, I have a new name, new identity. No, I am free. This is not happening today. So
That's good.
It's a delayed response.
Hey, it's the 4th of July. Freedom.
It is. Thank you, Lord, for freedom, for souls who fight for freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for this great country.
Yeah, me too.
Freedom, baby.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, well, thank you so much for just jumping on these last several weeks and walking through some of the core foundational things of freedom. And I'm so excited to dive into everything come retreat in just a few months, like a few months, September. So it'll be great. Our series up next that we're going to be focusing on the rest of July is about spiritual disciplines and growing deeper in your relationship with the Lord. So anyway, be sure to check back in, check out the YouTube channel, and just watch on social media because we'll be sharing all those things. And if you have things that you want to share or comment on, or just as we've mentioned every other video, any questions, prayer requests, we would love nothing more than to talk with you, to pray with you. So I'll put the email below in the description, and you can reach out to us, and we would love to hear from you. So have a wonderful 4th of July, a great rest of your day, and go enjoy some good time with your hubby, Renee.
Thank you. Bless you.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.